Hello. Hello, beauties. Today is really a great. Hello, beauties. I am super excited to be here with you today because I just got back from Los Angeles. I attended BeautyX and the Indie Beauty Expo. And I've been getting a lot of questions about what BeautyX is. And I hope we can bring someone on from the show. But I thought, while it's fresh in my mind, I would share what BeautyX is. It is fairly new to the world. It's not super old, and it's a summit, so a media and influencer summit. And I know that sounds a little like weird, but it's really not. It is kind of what you would envision media. When I think of media, I think like, you know, magazines, podcasts, things like that. And that's exactly what it was. It was January 21st and 22nd, LA, at the LA hotel. And it was put on by Beauty Independent, and Indie Beauty Expo is like a partner with them. So they put these on kind of all over the world, but the Beauty X is fairly new. It's only in LA, or it only has been there. But basically what happens is they get together influencers of all different backgrounds, and the same thing with media. So they bring in a lot of partners, magazines, other podcasters. They had a podcast panel. And the kind of idea is that the old media foundations are crumbling, and the new media empires rise and fall. And basically, content and commerce and readers turn into reviewers, editors become retailers, influencers invest in brands and media. It's confusing, but they kind of like give you the lay of the land at this summit. And it's like 2 days of just intense, just everything beauty in the world. If you want to do anything, whether you have a small indie brand, or you are an influencer, or you are an artist, you can go and learn and meet and mingle all these amazing people. And I just wanted to share my experience. I want to tell you guys how it went and what I loved, what I didn't love, and what I got out of it. I luckily got to sit front row the entire time for 2 days. So I don't have the greatest eyesight, so I had to wear my glasses. And it was funny because a couple of the founders afterwards were like, "Oh, wait. Oh, Cassandra." And it's like, I've been working with them for 2 days, and they didn't recognize me because I look like a total nerd. But let's go over kind of what happens when we go to this summit. So they have live learning, which is like, peer to peer. There's a lot of Q&A. You can ask questions, and there's like a real life contest. Like we sit there and we watch like what a desk side is. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a pitch meeting to like a magazine or like an editor. There's networking. So you meet and build relationships with other people in the community. You meet the experts, you meet the solutions providers that can help you with, like, let's say I'm looking for boxes for my new product. I want to know where I can get something locally manufactured, things like that. Then they also have the case studies. So it really looks at the relationships between brands and founders and parties of interest. Then we have courses. So it kind of gave us like all these graphs of like, just to give us a solid understanding of what's going on in the world with beauty. And it was really educational. Then there was panels. So that was one of my favorite parts because you got like 2 or 4 or 6 different people up on stage giving you insight into their different perspectives in one single category, like podcasting. And then there was an expert workshop. So I got to go and do a specialized in-depth workshop, like a pitch workshop, and another one for desk sides, just learning a little bit more about what I have to do when my product launches coming up pretty soon. So the first day is started at 9 a.m. and Jillian Wright, she's the co-founder of Indie Beauty Media Group, and I got to do her makeup. So I arrived at like 6 a.m. I got to style her along with Claire McCormick, and uh, she kind of says some opening remarks, and then we got to look at like the landscape of media and influencers, and then there was a panel. So right away we had Katie Dino, Tay Hansberry, she's a big influencer, Nita, and Jade Simone. I believe she never ended up coming, so she I guess she got the flu or something. But Katie is a celebrity makeup artist. I was really excited to see her on the panel, and Jillian moderated, and really they just talked about their different viewpoints of brands and creating posts and stuff like that. And then by 11 o'clock, we were diving in with Jane Carlson and Josue Moorbach. He goes by Glamour by Josue, and his the co-founder of the Better Skin Co., Murphy Bishop. So they were panelists on this and basically talked about a partnership. So Josue is just this like influencer guy. You think of an influencer and you think of like really done up makeup, really like, YouTube with like really fancy background, like great quality video and like hundreds of thousands of followers. And that's this guy. He's amazing. And he partnered with the Better Skin Co. and they ended up creating a product. It's like a makeup skin care / primer, and his name's kind of like across the package, and they talked about how he like tours all over the world every week. He like goes to a new city and he does these sold out shows everywhere, and basically talked about like how that even happened. That doesn't always happen, where you have a big influencer that reached out to a brand and then they say, all right, we want to make a product like called your name and like do this big thing. And so I got to talk to Josue afterwards, take photos with him, showed him my lash product, and he was excited, and I can't wait to work with him in the future. And I got to speak with all the panelists. I got to take pictures with Nita and talk with Katie, and it was really cool to meet them, to talk to them afterwards, and sit down and have lunch with Jillian and just kind of go over what she thought of my product, because she is also had products in that she's developed. And then by noon, 1:30, we were in an influencer management class, and really it was all about how to go about working with brands and working with indie brands and getting information on how you go about reaching out, how you can partner, and then all the ideas that you can that kind of exist and how you can partner. Then we had a really fun podcast panel. This was my favorite part of the day 1 and day 2. Claire McCormick, she's an education and thought leadership for Indian Media Group, and she's also like an editor, and she's amazing. I got to spend 2 days working with her in the morning. And then we got Abby, Beauty is Your Business, Almost 30 Podcasts, Krista Williams, Lindsay, and Lindsay Simic. She's also Almost 30 Podcasts. So both of them are co-hosts. And then Dory Shafrier is the co-host of Forever 35. And then Natch Butte, you guys know Jackie Johnson. She's a host of Natch Butte. She was a panelist. She's super funny, and she did not disappoint at the for this panel. So they talked about how podcasting has become a really effective tool for them, their brands, and also how brands can benefit from going onto a podcast, and how it has helped some of the people that they worked with and how they can partner and the do's and don'ts of podcasting. And I actually asked quite a few questions during this part. And I have my notes here, and I'd love to share with you guys kind of what we went over. That email is a preferred way to reach out. A lot of them work with PR groups, so you're kind of working with PR firms a lot of the times, or a publicist. I asked them about scheduling, workflow, and systems and contracts, and like how to keep that going, because I've been dealing with some people that come on the podcast that have software issues, who have cancellations, things like that. And they kind of gave me some really good advice about, being really strict with my letters, creating a contract around the podcast, and potentially even charging a fee if they're not showing up. It's kind of like, we scheduled an hour and now you're canceling last minute. Like, you're not really respecting my time. Like, I'll give you one grace period, but like after that, like either you don't come on the podcast, or you are going to have to pay for that. And I don't think that a lot of people really realize how powerful podcasts are, and how big that they're going to be, and how fast they're growing. And for me alone in my business, I can speak to how podcast has changed the course of my life. It's definitely still new for me, but it's opened the doors in so many different aspects of my business that I didn't think were even possible. Like, I didn't start podcasting because I wanted to go to BeautyX, or I wanted to go to events, or I wanted to be sent free product. It just happened because I'm in such a niche space and there's no one else doing it. I'm the only clean beauty podcast out there. There's no one else doing quite what I'm doing. There are episodes that you can find on clean beauty, but usually they're not all about clean beauty, and mine is all about it. So it was interesting to hear from them and speak with each one about what their failures were, what their successes were. And they also talked about a pre-call, and I want to start doing that with my with anyone coming on the show, because it kind of gets rid of their jitters. A lot of people get nervous when they think about doing a podcast, and I'm not going to lie. I'm the person where when I'm about to record, I feel like it needs to be perfect. I feel like I have to prep. I get a little nervous, but it's a fear that I've had to overcome. And it's actually one of the things that I've come to know and love and enjoy now. And it's like this really fun adrenaline versus getting scared. But I do understand how someone's like sitting down at a desk with a microphone and they're not really seeing someone, and how that can also affect how they're talking, and not knowing, you don't want to talk over someone. And there's a lot of fears you can have around podcasting. A lot of people don't like the sound of their own voice, and they think that they don't think they're going to sound good. And like, everybody has that. Like, I don't like listening to myself, but you get used to it and you get over it and you get over yourself, kind of thing. So anyways, also pitching, why you want to be on the show, right? Like, when you pitch someone, like, you can come from two angles. Like, hey, I'm interested in potentially having you on the show, or hey, like, I got a referral, or they might be pitching you that they want to come on the show. And so there's a lot of different angles that you can kind of work from. And they were talking about that they get hundreds of emails every month from people that want to come on their show, and they have to be really picky. And I've actually started to feel the same way. I'm now getting so many boxes of product. I have more face creams. I mean, they're going to last me years. And what I'm going to have to do is just end up giving a lot of the creams and all these face products and body care products to friends and family, because there's no way I can use it all. It's a lot of excess product. And some of the products I have gotten, they've been damaged. They weren't what I expected. They weren't high quality. And so I've had to have those tough conversations as well, which I never really thought about before I started podcasting, and how it's, and they talked about that on the panel, that like sometimes you kind of have to give them the harsh news that they're not fit for the show. And it's, it's a business at the end of the day. You want to stay true and authentic to your audience. You want to tell the truth. You don't want to just take money from a sponsor, even though you don't believe in their brand. Like, it's going to come back to bite you in the butt later on. And so, I really took a lot of notes around this, but we can kind of get in. Then there was a case study. There was a podcaster case study, and then we had Linda Wells, who's this chief creative officer at Revlon. You guys, oh my gosh, she was amazing, and we talked about everything beauty and her journey with a big magazine and so much more. And let's see. Okay, so that was pretty much it. That's kind of, and then we had a networking cocktail reception. I made a few friends. We actually went out to dinner after. It was so cool, you guys. I really enjoyed the networking. We really got a chance to talk to the panelists. Alyssa Bayer, she's the founder of Milk and Honey. Dory, again, from the Forever 35 podcast. And then editor Rachel Brown for Beauty Independent. Got to chat a little bit more with Jillian and a couple of the other and a couple people actually came up to me and asked me about coming on the podcast. A few people had said that they had heard the podcast and that they really loved it and they were avid listeners. And I was like blown away because, like, as you know, the podcast has only been around for less than 6 months. And to have fans and people wanting to talk to me and take pictures with me, I just never in a million years would I have thought that I would have such a cult following. But it's not that I, didn't want it. It's just that I thought it would take years to get to that point. And, I thought it was just really beautiful that there are so many clean beauty lovers out there. So anyways, day 2, I went early again. I got to do makeup for Alice, who is a content creator for iHeartMedia. And I also got to do makeup on Jillian again and Claire. And it was really, really cool to meet some of the other speakers backstage. I got to work with Nader, who's the co-founder of Indie Beauty Media Group too. I gave him a little concealer. And we got right into PR and how PR can help your brand. And I work with Tiona Ostrov, public relations. She's a publicist and used to work with big brands, but then she kind of branched off to do her own thing. And so she's a little smaller, but she has some great connections and great insights into how strategy and things. And so it was cool to hear from Erin Kelly, PR. We're already in talks. She's amazing. Leah Vale from Quartz PR, and then VP of Beauty from 5W PR, Elise Edgecombe, and then Kylie Hughes. So she's from 61 Inc. So it was cool to hear them all talk about. Let me get into my notes for that because I had a lot of questions again for PR, and we talked about basically how you can reach your goals quicker with PR. And a lot of people are afraid that PR will cost a lot of money, and it does cost money, and that it'll take too long to like get somewhere. But basically what I got out of it is like, hey, it is going to cost some money. Find someone who's going to work with you, work with your budget, and also make sure that it's a long-term investment. It's not something that you get a publicist and that month you're going to be in every magazine. And I had that misconception. I'm going to be honest. I thought that once you got a publicist, like I was going to be in like maybe a magazine every month or something like that. But that's not how it works. I've had a publicist 6 months, and like it's a relationship. It's magazines, it's publicists and editors now seeing your name out there. And so you're constantly like growing. So, we also talked about, like being inclusive and, flesh Okay, so Flesh is what Linda Wells created. Do you guys know about that? If you do, I would love to know your thoughts on it. What else? We talked about Condé Nast. So Jun came later. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so then we did a consumer beauty media panel. Melissa from Well and Good was the moderator, and then we had Kelly Bales, who was digital editor director at Allure, Emily Daughtry, who is editor in chief at New Beauty, and then Carolyn, editor in chief at Self.com. So, and then B Shapiro, I believe too. And they talked about, these are editors, so they write for magazines, and they talked about media and brands work together and like how, pitch meetings go and stuff. And I got to talk to Kelly after. She was so sweet. I really, really liked her feedback on, not just sending someone just a box full of stuff, if you're a brand, like actually getting in touch with them, calling them by name, calling out, like, if they wrote an article that you really loved, like mentioning that, and really and not being afraid to kind of say, hey, like reaching out multiple times and letting them know that you really want to work with them exclusively, stuff like that. And then there was a consumer case study, and April from Vinter's Daughter, who's the founder, came and spoke literally about how she gained love from beauty editors and just created this amazing brand from scratch with one hero product, which I related to heavily because I have one product at Lash Binder. And she got in Hot Living, and then Carrie Lee Ross was her publicist, and how she got in, like, for me, I was thinking, okay, the Clarisonic, the Beauty Blender, like those are products that are very similar in terms of hers or mine because there's just one product. And it's like a lot of people want to be like, okay, what's next month? What's coming out next month? You think of beauty brands and it's like there's always a new lipstick, there's always a new highlighter palette, there's always something coming out every season. And how she talked about how she kept the momentum going around one product for so long. And it's been a couple of years and she's still hasn't launched something else, but she talked about the pre-launch of her like next product that is coming out. And we talked about a North Star. I hadn't heard that term before, but we talked about like, who you are, who you stand for, and how your North Star should be really clear. You should be, following that. And I thought that was a beautiful term. And since I've heard it several other times, so it's interesting. And then who else did we chat with? Then we did a desk side domination. This was really cool, you guys. So what happens is a publicist from each publication comes on, and they help a founder pitch a brand or a product to a editor. So the publicist helped the brand get ready, right? Like it's just like if you had a normal publicist, like Shafali, who's the founder of Shafali, she has this like beauty product, and Erin Kelly like helped her pitch, like curate and then pitch to her editor. And you have to pitch to all three editors, Brandy, Thoughtfully Magazine, Self, Carolyn from Self.com, and then Melissa from Well and Good. And then Kathy and Adam Adam Fitting from Cranium Care, and then Kathy from Self Care. They had brands and that they pitched. Adam ended up winning along with Shafali. I believe Adam won twice. Amazing. And then we had Quartz PR and then 5WPR. So basically each publicist helped each person pitch, and then we got to see it all live at a mock desk side meeting. And it was very valuable to be a part of, to watch how it really happened in the real life. And I have all of this up on my Instagram. I don't know how much longer I'll leave it up there, because I usually take my highlights down after a little while. And, but I will leave it up there for a little while so you guys can kind of see behind the scenes of like what it is, how it works. And then towards the end, we had John Harada. He's at Condé Nast, and he came on and just talked about like, I mean, everything. His portfolio, how brands engage, and like how many faucets there are in the beauty industry, and how he's basically leading the way and, you know, creating new and innovative marketing solutions for the company's beauty clients. And like, he was just so open, and it was just so cool to hear from him too. And I'm just going to look at my notes and see if there's anything else that I forgot. In terms of, I did notice that I was one of the only people sitting in the audience that was, one, a makeup artist, and two, an influencer. It's really weird. There wasn't a lot of influencers per se. Maybe there were, but like not like me. I felt pretty small in terms of some of the brands that I was sitting next to. They had actual products, and they were going to really gain insight into how they could expand with PR, with podcasting, with that kind of stuff. But I felt like the different people that stood up, like, all had their own products, and there wasn't a lot of makeup artists. And I've noticed that at many summits that I've gone to, there's not a lot of makeup artists. And I noticed that even at Wedding MBA and other conferences. And I think it's because makeup artists don't make very much money, and they can't afford to invest. And so what I would say to BeautyX is, you know, either bring in hair and makeup artists as a team to prep all of the participants, all of the panelists, so that they can have a chance, you know, like if they were to do a trade, they, you know, if they were really interested in investing in their business. Because I talked to a few other makeup artists. I had my makeup done one of the days, and they were all saying how they wish they could go, but it was really expensive. And so I was really filled with grace and honor to know that I was one of the few, you know, gaining all this insight. But I will say that I'm also one of the, I don't know how many, like I'm one of the few that actually invests in my business as well. And that's how I've been able to grow at a very fast rate over the course of the last like 10 years. And I think that my hunger has always outweighed my excuses for not doing something or not being able to go somewhere. That is just, those words are just not in my vocabulary. I've always believed in investing in myself, in my future, in schooling, in education, in workshops, in seminars. I try to go to all of them. I love going to shows of all kinds. And I highly believe in meeting and doing the networking and all of that. And I know, you know, there's not immediate money that you make right away, but I've always gained a lot of value, and I've always taken every single interaction with another human very seriously, exchanged cards, followed up. Like, I followed up with everyone that I met within 2 days. And I know a lot of people, even in any industry, don't do that. And I feel like that's really big, because when you're there, it's all good and easy to say you'll follow up. But now you have to follow up with 50 people, and it's kind of daunting. So I will say that, like, if you do go, you know, take your notes. They provided a nice notebook. And I will say that it was really nice of them to provide coffee, water, and tea the entire time from 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m. each day, and then have the open bar. That was really nice to have a networking session, and the private sessions on the side, the panel, the seminars they had in little rooms on the side. They were very nice because it was way more one-on-one. You got to ask a million questions. You got every question answered. And it was in depth, kind of like it's all about you, your business, what you're trying to do. And so I got to, I had a lot of insight and a lot of clarity after I went to those. Um, and I also found that like all these women are just, and men are human, and we all have needs and wants and desires, and we can all come from different or same backgrounds. And it's all about the ambition, and it's about, putting in what you want to get out of things. And I just got from every single person that I met that like they're hard workers and they're go-getters. And like it was really cool to be around so many people that felt strongly about beauty and the industry. And you think about it and it's like, well, it is one of the biggest industries. It's kind of an industry that'll never die. It's something that, even if there's a war, women are still going to go out and get their nails done or buy, or at least buy a lipstick, because it's going to make them feel good, and you do what makes you feel good. And it was really cool to be around like so many people. And then in terms of the audience, I think it was really good. I don't think there was like, I feel like there was like 100 or 150 people, which for 2 days it's quite a lot of people to go to a summit. I know they're still growing it. And, if you were ever considering going or you want to go next year, I hope, I can see you there. There was another thing that I still haven't looked into called Uplink. It's by Beauty Independent. It's like a marketplace for beauty entrepreneurs to find like qualified service providers, whether that means like shipping and logistics, like PR, business operations, whatever you need, like manufacturing, strategy, marketing, and branding. You can kind of go on to this database, look, like insert what you need, like maybe your budget, where you're looking for service, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll give you a in-depth, uh, result on those things. And so I still have yet to look into that, but it sounds exciting. And yeah, it was really nice. I really plan on going next year. I think that it's really great. I loved also that they had like the coolest media equipment. Photo and video was just like top notch, and their crew was actually really nice and kind of funny. I got to talk with a few of them. And what else? The badges were a little jingly. But I like that they color coded the badges so that you could tell who had a brand, who was an influencer, and who was actually working the show. And it was really nice too to be able to look over to my neighbor and know her name. And if I forgot, I could look down and see her name again. I think that's important at these kind of shows, because you meet so many people and you sit down for lunch and you meet someone a few times and you're like, crap, I should know her name by now. So it was really cool to have big name tags the whole time, but the little connectors were a little jangly. And then I guess I would say in terms of the influencer, like the panel, I felt like they were all very big. It wasn't like, hey, let's talk to micro influencers. It was very, at least for this one, it was like, hey, let's talk to the big dogs, which you want to see. But I think if they sprinkled in like a couple, like 10 or 20,000 K followers, because from what I heard from these influencers is like, we get so much product, like I got product for days, right? I have so many boxes I have to open. Like, please don't send me a PR box. Whereas it's going to take me a much longer time to tell somebody that. I'm not going to be like, no, you can't send me product. I don't want to look at it. So I feel like for a lot of the indie brands sitting in the audience, they felt like, okay, I can't send any product to them. And I shouldn't be sending product to influencers, where that for me is kind of like the opposite. I need your product to be able to bring you on my podcast. And it's not because I want free product. Like, I need to know what your product looks like, feels like. I need to know about the packaging, how it arrives in the mail. I need to know what other people are experiencing. And I'm not going to name drop this company. I'm not going to say exactly who they are, but I had something arrive in the mail last week that actually had like mold growing at the top, and I was like, it made for me. I was like, oh my god! Like if I would have brought them on the podcast, and then they had to do a major recall of this product, like I would have looked like an idiot if I would have said that I used the product or used it and liked it. You know what I mean? Like you have to know what you're getting, and regardless if you're using the product or not or giving it away. Like I can also host giveaways, I can host contests and give away product that way. I could gift it to someone. And so for me, like you can send me product, like I'll make room for it, it's okay. But that's the only thing on that front. And then the lunch was really good. They provided like a buffet both days. It was really nice. And they had, it was linen tablecloths, and they had people going around making sure like you had what you needed, and they, servers and everything. So it was like really nice. And I really appreciated that. And I think that's about it. I hope you guys understand what BeautyX is. The Beauty Expo was a little different. I can just talk about it for a second, but it's the Indie Beauty Expo. It happened the 2 following days, so like the 23rd, 24th. I went for day 1, and I had to meet so many brands that bringing on the podcast. It was a really quick, sustainable way for me to go get product, try it out, and then if I like the brand, I'm going to be reaching out to them to follow up. There's already a lot of products that I got that I've gone through that I will not be working with because they're indie, they're not clean or sustainable or giving back in some way. And then some of the products literally didn't work. So one thing that I didn't really like about the expo was that there wasn't a lot of makeup. There was a lot of skincare, and I felt like every brand, it was like skincare, skincare, skincare. And I feel like we don't need another face oil. We don't need another face cream. Like there's so many, and that's like a really hard market to even be in, because like to get someone off their eye cream, it's going to take a lot, because a lot of people are committed to the products, face and eye creams, not to deter anyone from it. And I think a lot of the companies are unique and special and different, and that's cool. But they all started to blur together, and I actually left with a whole suitcase of product, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, and I don't need this. But I get it. They all want to give you a sample. There was a lot of waste, which was shocking to me, because a lot of them claim to be sustainable, but it's like they had a box in cellophane inside of another box with a big pamphlet and like 3 business cards and a sticker. And I'm like, who is going to put a sticker anywhere? Like, unless you're 15, I don't know, on your skateboard. I don't know who uses stickers, for starters. I don't understand why you need to put a pamphlet in any of the bags. I think we should be working towards saving paper. If everyone has an iPhone, what about just putting a QR code on the back of your product to say, learn more info, scan this code? Or putting your website on the product, and if I want to learn more, I'll go read it. I don't need to know every single ingredient. There were pamphlets that were stapled together telling me about one serum. I don't care. Even though I'm like, if I did, I'll go look it up. And I felt it was so wasteful. And all the people coming to the show to literally get product, I think it was 100, or I don't remember how much it is to get in as just a regular attendee. But a lot of the girls go and they want to get free product, and that's great. But like they're the ones who really don't care about all that paper, all that stuffing, the cellophanes. I know a lot of companies think, oh, someone will use this bag, this drawstring bag. Someone will reuse it somehow. No, I left the expo with over 20 drawstring bags. Some of them were burlap, some of them were see-through, some of them were cloth, cotton, and like literally I don't know what to do with them. I have no idea. And then I also left with several bags, like the bags you wear, like that you get groceries in, like the tote bags. Oh my gosh, like every booth had one. I was like, why do I need another tote bag from everyone? I know they're trying to elevate their brand by handing you one product in a tote, but it's like, if you know you're at an expo, wouldn't you want to save that dollar and put it towards something else and just hand them your cream in a bottle? You don't need to put it in a bag because they're going to take it out and dump it all in one bag anyway. That's what me and Jen had to do. We were walking around and we had to go to our car, put everything into a bag, and then get rid of the other bags. And then the VIP bag at the end, also, it came with so many bags inside other bags. And I feel like a lot of the brands wanted to be like completely separated from everything else. And they wanted their little piece of paper and cellophane and like little crinkly stuff. And I'm like, why didn't Indy just say, hey, you guys just give us your product. That's it. If they want to learn more, they'll find you. I feel like it would have been better for our backs because my back was hurting by the end of the day. We had so much extra cardboard. People put stuff in boxes. It's okay. I know a lot of the packaging was in glass, which I really appreciated, that there wasn't a lot of plastic waste. And then I also saw a lot of the samples were like a single-use sample in this big packet, and it was attached with like a sticky glue, like stuck to another paper. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so wasteful. And I just think that in the future, and a lot of them came with like tissue paper and bubble wrap and all this stuff. And I know that they might have flown in these products, but like, again, like reuse them or do something with them. Like if you're not going to use them, we sure as heck aren't going to use them. And we don't need pamphlets for every single thing. And I think in terms of business cards, like if you really want to put your business card, I think what Indy should have done or could do or other expos can do is if there is, let's say there's probably 50 business cards in the bag, right? The cards get smashed. They get like lost in between. Like if some stuff was attached and you could see the sticky stuff on it, but I didn't know what went with what. And so I felt like, okay, if you had all the cards in one little box and just said, these are all the cards, here's all the products you got, and here's all the business cards together, that would have been much easier for me to sort through for starters. And it shouldn't be a general card because I tried looking to reach out to a few of the companies and there was no name on the card or on the information sheet. Like they gave me this big pamphlet and it just says like @ hashtag and then social media links and then their website. And I was like, there's no email. Like, so now I got to go on your website. Now I got to find the email thing. Now I got to fill out a form. I just want your email. Like, I want to reach out. If I want to reach out to you as a brand, coming off someone on a podcast, I don't have time to do all of that. Now I'm going to get to you way later, or I might not get to you at all because there was no information. And I don't know. I hate not knowing who I'm talking to. Like if you're at Indie Beauty Expo and you're making yourself look bigger than you are and you're saying, hey, I'm BeautyX Summit, beautyxsummit.com, just an example. And then it's like info@beautyxsummit.com. It's like, okay, but who am I going to say, hello, BeautyX Summit? No, I want to know I'm talking to Krista. I want to know I'm talking to Holly. I want to know I'm talking to Erin, right? I want to know who I'm talking to. I don't care how big you are. If you're at a show, you should be like, hey, I'm Jim. Here's my card. Like this is me. This is my cell phone. What if I want to call you? What if I want to reach out? So I think like little things like that would help me because I was actually looking for contact information last night and I couldn't find it on a couple brands. So it was really frustrating to have to go to their website, go to 3 different pages, try to find their contact form. And I still didn't figure out like who the heck I was supposed to be talking to. But I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. I know Indie Beauty is headed to Berlin and then London and then Dallas and New York. And I believe I might be going to Dallas. I still am not sure. There's so much going on this year. So many different festivals, conventions, and beauty summits and expos. I'm going to try to be as many as I possibly can. But I'm definitely going to try to give you all the beauty news I can on these different events. And I hope to have someone like Jillian on the podcast later. But I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure to leave me a comment, send me a message, an email, info@CassandraMcClure.com. really simple, and you can just let me know what you want to hear, what you liked, what you didn't like. I love feedback. You don't have to leave a review. You can always just reach out to me personally if you have a suggestion, and I'll talk to you guys soon.